Hello, and welcome to our 3-day event, Bridge to Expansion. I am so excited for this. It is something that came up through doing work with the expansion principle and launching the next round of training of practitioners of people who are wanting to learn more about the modality and learn the modality no matter in what aspect, whether it's going to be professionally or personally. And so in that work, this concept of a bridge came up, this concept of allowing us guide way, the sturdy path into the unknown, really. And the Bridge to Expansion was born. So this is day 1. We're going to go ahead and invite some of our friends. Let's see. Say hello as you hop on. Okay. So this first day of the Bridge to Expansion, what we're going to be talking about is fear. And we're going to be talking about our relationship with fear a little bit in different ways. So biologically, emotionally, spiritually, how sometimes fear can be a bridge for us too. Working with it and dancing with it and seeing it for what it is, and also allowing what it's a gatekeeper for. Oftentimes fear is a gatekeeper for us, and what is on the other side will often sometimes the purpose of it being there. So fear is something that I am very familiar with. Hi, human. This pillow that is in my, I don't know if you guys can read it, but let your faith be bigger than your fear. Sit in front of. So how's the connection? Is the connection good? Because I keep getting messages that it's not. And my faith is bigger than my fear, which is why I'm here, which is why I do all the things that I do, right? And so my journey to the expansion principle, to putting it out into the world, my relationship with Simon, which is the being, the interdimensional being that I work with, and we channel the expansion principle, began, interestingly enough, through fear was a gateway for that. Okay, good. Hi, Kathy. So, for those of you who don't know the story, this was about 5 years ago, I think. 4 or 5 years ago. And I was doing some training, shamanic training, deeper spiritual training. And from the time that I started working with my teacher, the name Simon was coming up. Simon, 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 all the time. And every new thing that I would learn, any new interface that I would have, it's like, is this Simon? And it was a really interesting thing because while I had a lot of curiosity and I could feel it, I could feel the pull, right? I didn't have this impatience. There wasn't this like nervousness to it. It was just like, when the time's the time, it's the time, right? And one day I was working on a new skill, and I wasn't able to get it right. And normally I got stuff pretty quickly. And it just wasn't coming to me. And so one of the things that she had me do was to explore, well, what is it? What's going on then? And what came up was fear. And then I interfaced with fear and sort of personified it. And so what that means is, instead of making it this abstract thing, you know, fear has a shape, a color, a name, like all of that. So you personify it in order to interface a little bit better, to really get like, what is the purpose here behind this fear? Because it's always going to have a purpose. Almost always, right? That's where you kind of want to go a little bit deeper. And there's a difference between fear and terror, which we'll get to in a little while. And so even within fear, you want to check in first if it's yours, right? Or is this from somewhere else? And that was one of the first things that I did. And it was mine. It was something having to do for me. And when I asked fear what it needed, what I needed, and what came up was Simon. And at that point I checked in, we made sure that it was time to have this interface. And so that relationship began, with fear as a gatekeeper, with me confronting that, and like my energetics was keeping me from this amazing relationship and this amazing interface and all these things, not because it was supposed to keep me from it forever, but because there was this awareness that needed to occur. Does that make sense? So I want you to think about a time when, and it may be now or somewhere in the past, where looking back, it's a little bit easier. So I want you to look back and think of a time where fear was a gatekeeper for you, where you know you were nervous or afraid of something, and then you either did the thing or went to the place or went back to school or whatever it was, and you did it. And I want you to look at how that was a gatekeeper for you. And the importance of that is really to sort of, I don't know, soften it in a way, let you see that purposeness behind it, right? And so I think fear, especially, there's a certain kind of fear that it's the kind of fear that is almost like is really related to that excitement kind of energy, is the one that's a gatekeeper. And oftentimes when we are moving into our next phase, when we're moving along, our not static beings, we're ones of growth. We are constantly evolving. I heard recently somebody, quite lovely young woman, was talking about next level and how it's so cliche, and I agree, it totally is, and that you should be happy where you are. Absolutely. So for me, we also need to recognize that we are not static. We're dynamic. We're constantly moving and constantly evolving. Recognizing that and recognizing the desire to keep moving forward, right? That doesn't mean, that has nothing to do with not enjoying where we are. It's just this awareness of it is constantly moving, it's constantly growing, and we can deeply enjoy the phase that we're in with having awareness that it is a journey, right? So when we're expanding, when we're moving into these next phases of growth, because I feel like oftentimes we're in this phase of like, we are edges of it and moving into that next piece. Does that make sense? And that's where that fear piece can happen. And it's sort of like, ooh, okay, what's happening? You know, can I really do this? Who am I to do this? Are some of the things that come up. That's not for me. Whatever it is, right? What are some other things? Like, what will people think? Those are the main ones. And then we start to get into other objections, like, oh, I don't have the money, I'm at this, that kind of, I don't have the time. These sorts of things are usually, most of the time, not always, things that aren't really fears. They're little minions for the fear. Does that make sense? So they're things that pop up in order to keep us from the thing. And so I think it's really important to use old examples for us when we're at that point, to show like, hey, I was afraid of XYZ and I made it through that. I made a choice, and on the other side, I wasn't afraid anymore. And it was wonderful, and it was for me. And even things, you know, depending on your human design type, sometimes you'll to, but there's still some gold, some lesson on the other side of it, which is really important. So yes, happy 11/11. So for those of you watching the replay and or watching this as a recording later on, we are harnessing this energy of the 11/11 portal and all of these really beautiful energies right now. in November of 2019 with just really monumental energies with Mercury. Mercury's retrograde right now, but really what it's about is this completion energy. And so doing this video now is really to get done, like, what can you not move forward without? Because sometimes we're moving forward, but there's these decisions, there's things that we have to move into that next level. Does that make sense for everyone? And so this is for everybody. This is no matter what that next piece is for you. And especially for those of you who have a signifier with me, so who have a card that has come up, whose energies match that card, to join this next round, the 6th round of the expansion principle. This transmissions that we're days are going to be really helpful for anyone, no matter what that next phase, like I said, but especially will act as a bridge into the expansion if that's what you choose. So we're going to get into a nice comfortable position. We're going to do a little bit of the crystal singing bowl. We're going to do the rose quartz singing bowl, and it is my favorite, one of my favorites. One of my favorites, and it is a sacral bowl. And so not a sacral bowl, it's a root bowl. Maybe I need a sacral bowl. I probably do. Okay, I will pay attention to that. So this is a root bowl, and it's beautiful because it ties in those heart rose quartz energies into the root. And that's really important, especially when we're talking about releasing fear. And this isn't just, releasing fear. This is about relationship with. This is dancing with it. And so what that means is this, there can be this elegance to it. Does that make sense? So acknowledging its purpose, which is different than terror. So a lot of times it's important to look at there's a lot of energies that seem similar, but they're really different. Like sadness and grief, they have a similar signature, but they're different. There's a depth difference there, right? And so when we're looking at things that are a lot stronger, oftentimes there's going to be a deeper root. And so there's going to be a requirement for healing deeper, and looking at things in a bigger way. This will help all of those things. No matter what level it's at, this is going to help. So get into a nice comfortable position and let's get started. Okay. And where's our... All right. So feel free to close your eyes or leave them open. We're going to start with the bowl, and then as we do the transmission, I'll guide you through it like usual, okay? So go ahead and take a nice deep breath. This transmission is to allow for any fears that no longer serve us, any who have reached a completion and who no longer need to be present, to gently fall away. It's for any fears that are active for us, that do have a purpose, for us to more easily dance with them, for us to see them for what they are. Nice deep breath. Beautiful pink and gold light above your head, gently coming down over the top of your head, over your face, the back of your head, your neck and throat. across all the way to your fingertips, into your chest and your back, down each and every vertebrae, across your belly, your hips, and your low back, into your pelvis and groin, across your bottom, your upper legs, your knees, your lower legs, ankles, and feet. Nice deep breath. These energies are anchoring in trust and knowing, moving beyond faith into deep knowing and trust. Again, any residual fear that is ready to be released at this time is doing so. Nice deep breath. I'm going to sit for a moment. I'm going to play the bowl while we allow these energies to integrate. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. For those of you that just came on, do come back for the replay so you can experience the whole thing. We did a beautiful fear release for the fears that no longer serve us, that are ready to kind of fall away, and for us also to be able to dance with the fears that are present currently and who are serving us in a certain way. Be sure to be back for day 2. How did that feel? How is everyone? Day 2, we are going to explore our relationship with money. Now, that is a very, 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 very large topic that you could do a year long on it. But we're going to of having a relationship with money, about being aware of our relationship with money, as that is something that absolutely, it makes a difference in our expansion for a lot of reasons, because sometimes we won't do something. And again, whether that's the expansion principle training, or, hiring a mentor, or going on a trip, or buying a house, or having a baby, or whatever it is, oftentimes that money piece affects that expansion. And so what's ours is always ours, and it's for us. Are there as a guiding light. They're there on purpose. And so this bridge to expansion is allowing us to tap more into those desires of our heart and feeling safer to honor them. And so tomorrow we'll cover the money piece, and that'll be a lot of fun. I love you. We are accepting applications for the expansion principle right now. If you're interested, reach out to me. There will be a link below with more information. The expansion principle is an incredible, otherworldly, literally, energy healing modality. The modality training is not just for people who choose to become practitioners. We have a lot of people who do this for themselves and for their families and for their children, and or whatever your family consists of, right? And also for people who have no healing background, who are interested in exploring a new modality, and they know that this is it, exploring healing and becoming a healer. Then this will have a lot of the way to do that. So not just the attunements, which allow you to transmit the energy, but also a full practitioner training program, which will give you all the skills that you need to be able to go out and heal people. This is also for more advanced healers and practitioners, whether you're a therapist or a massage therapist, or there's so many different, right? And already have a practice of some kind and want to integrate energy in. This is an incredible way to do that. And so this program, this time we're including modules that are specific for all 3 of those tracks. And so you'll have more of what you need, which is really exciting. And this is 2 teachers in training, and they will actually be part of the practice calls and those sorts of things. And so you'll get just beyond me to people who are practicing already and also taking it to the next level and becoming teachers. So it's a very exciting time to join us. Again, if you're interested, reach out. I love you. I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Enjoy your 11/11 portal.